morning, everybody. How in the world are you? All right, so let's do this. All right, like most things that you study, the meat of whole books or seminars can kind of be all boiled down to you can get 80% of it, at least in concept form, in just a few minutes. So this is not a full-fledged all day long chat on time management, and they like to spend a lot of time telling you about everybody's got the same amount of time and blah 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 blah. At the end of the thing, you get sent off with a whole bunch of you just do this, and you don't really get much out of these things. My wife went to Catholic school. When she was 6 years old, she came home moaning about whatever the nuns were making her unhappy about, and her father says, "You go tell those nuns." Well, it's like, a 6-year-old's going to go tell those nuns, right? It's not happening. And it doesn't happen at time management seminars or anything else. If you haven't been doing it, there's a good chance you're not going to do it. But there are some little techniques, some things that you can do and that you can become aware of. So I want to give you really just 5 things, okay? 2 of them are sort of awareness items, and one of them is just being aware of the time. That's if you haven't been aware of your time, if you're generally just that guy that's not aware of your time, that's a real challenge. It's kind of like telling you, you just go tell those nuns, right? That's swimming uphill, but I guess running uphill, swimming against the current, right? I love to mix a metaphor. But to the extent that you can, care about being on time, and that will actually make a difference. And it's a compounding difference. Once you get a little bit of success in one area, you get more success in other areas. So if you at your heart just know you just don't care, you can't care, change does not come from inside. You hear that said. Change does come from outside, and I've tried to be pretty careful about not preaching, but you can pray about that, okay? You can say, God, change me. So I'm telling you, you can, and it does have an effect. So become aware of the time. Another thing I found out, and I don't know why it took me so long to find this out. I must have been darn near 60 years old before somebody said to me, "Well, what's your best time of the day?" Or maybe it's the first time it registered with me when I was being asked. And I suddenly realized that I come alive really at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I've got the most focus and drive, and I say nothing happens in the morning. I do these things in the morning, for example. So, make good use of all your days, I'm saying, but know when the best time is, because that's when you're going to get stuff done. And who knew it'd be 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me, but I get more done in the last 3 hours than I do in all of the rest of the day. So you find out when your best time is and make good use of it too. All right, I'm going to give you 3 techniques that will help, and these are things that you can just do, right? One of them I heard from a friend named Jim Baines, and I think Jim heard it from a guy named Jim Rohn, actually. Regardless, here's some pretty good advice. If you're not already doing this, make your list for tomorrow in the evening. There are lots and lots of ways why that's good, and like I said, I'm not going to turn this into a big seminar, but you can go to bed peaceful knowing that you've got tomorrow lined up. That's helpful. But line up tomorrow's list so you can hit the ground running. Okay, that's an important technique, and lots and lots and lots of successful people do that. After I heard it from Jim, then I read it everywhere. Okay, I'm not going to tell you. All right, there's another thing too. If you're a sharp-minded, focused individual, then you may not have any trouble along these lines to start with, okay? But Then there's the rest of us. And there's a decent possibility that you're kind of like me in the respect of, you get up, you can't remember where your car keys are, and you're wasting lots of time, and you've got stuff coming in from all sides. And the list is big, and every one of them matters. Every one of them is threatening. You don't want to do any of them. And under those circumstances, a person can really fritter away the day. It happens, and it does. So I got a little technique that you can use to get stuff done, and which is when you're kind of confused by that overwhelming list, you can say, you can pick one and you're going to do this, and you start to do that one, and all the other ones are not going to stop pressing on you. They will keep doing the same they've always done. But you say this to yourself: after this is done, I can do anything I want. But right now, I'm doing this. And there's some kind of, at least for me, there's a certain freedom in that, or I don't know, try it out, see if it works for you, if you have need of that technique, okay? Last item, and I think I've mentioned this before, but always good advice. We use lists, right? And particularly those of us who can't keep our heads straight, if you want to get a lot done and you can't focus, boy, do you need a list. So my note says, have one list, write everything down in one place. And that's where we're going to go with this. But I wanted to say that first, so then I can talk about having two lists. Okay. When I was a young fellow, I used to be a chimney sweep, right, in a rural area. So I met lots of farmers. And at the feed store, they gave away these little teeny books. And I do mean little books. The things were like 2 inches by 3 inches or something like this. These guys almost always had some rotten little stub of a pencil. And I was young and arrogant, and I actually kind of, I don't want to say I looked down on it. Anyway, it amused me that these fellows used these little books. Well, I don't have a little book, but you will seldom catch me without a piece of paper and a pen. I write stuff down. But then when I get to the office, when it comes to mind, because 10 seconds later it's going to be gone, right? But that's my one list here, which I transfer to my other list there. Now, if you're a guy that uses digital lists and that's working for you, that's fine. They never worked out for me. I'm a paper and pencil guy, and paper and pencil never, ever, ever fails. And you don't have to turn on any kind of machine for it either. But work from one list. If you have lots and lots of lists, go ahead, try lots of lists out and see if that works for you. Don't do it. One main list and work from that list. And I guess I'll add one other thing. I know that this is good advice, and I mostly don't do it, but I have done it, from time to time, and it works, which is you can prioritize. So if you do your list at night, write down, number 1, number 2, number 3, by different, that might be number 1 down here, this 18th thing on the list. But when you have to just focus on one thing tomorrow and just start getting stuff done on an otherwise overwhelming list, you look at number 1 and you say, I can do anything I want later, but I'm doing this now. And you do that. Anyway, those little techniques ought to get anybody an hour extra a day if they're not working those particular techniques. And again, I understand that some of you are sharp-minded and don't have any of these troubles, but there are lots of others of us for whom these things will be very valuable. Alrighty, take care. Bye. Hey friends, I hope this was useful to you. Would you do something for me? Would you please share this with anybody you know that ought to hear it too? And then, would you please give me the thumbs up and subscribe, right? That's kind of important on these things. Feel free to leave comments. All right, thanks a lot. And now get out there and do some winning.